Throughout the last few years, people have often joked about what would happen if they vaulted building. At the start of this season, we were greeted with the shocking news that this had in fact happened. Although Arena remained the same, pubs were changed to zero builds. The casual community appeared to react very positively to it overall. The competitive community, while unaffected for now, were fearful that this would spread to competitive, and their fears were realised when Twitch rivals announced that their tournament would be zero builds. This was followed by 2 zero build squad lightning cups, and the same treatment was even given to a mainstay of the console community, the PlayStation Cup. Most are now just waiting in fear for the announcement that Cash Cups and God forbid FNCS should be no builds in the future. But the content is at its highest since Chapter 1. Some of the biggest streamers in the world are back playing the game that kickstarted their careers, and Fortnite is the talk of the gaming community once again. And you say that tournaments are uncompetitive, but the pros still seem to be placing fairly well, and they're still playing the tournaments even though they have no prize money. So what's the problem? Let's go back all the way to late 2017 when the Battle Royale game mode was first released. As we know, it was an almost instant hit, and Fortnite made over 1.2 billion in its first 10 months. Streamers rose to fame playing squads with their mates and stomping all over the lobbies. It was the ultimate content. And we all know that Fortnite has one thing that made it so incredibly unique, and that is building. Battle Royale modes can feel random at times, but the presence of building gave you the chance to defend that you never had in other games. It widened the skill gap and raised the skill ceiling. It gave players something to work towards. I remember the days when you would load into a game, drop into Wailing Woods and just learn to build until Storm killed you. One day you would get that first Victory Royale, and maybe if you tried hard enough you would reach the skill of the big streamers and spend all day dropping 30 bombs with your friends. Competitive Fortnite hype grew with pro-ams, local LANs, Twitch tournaments. The content creators like Ninja, Tfue, Nickmercs, Aiden, they were there and they were winning. The popularity of Fortnite was still at its peak. As people got better and better and realised just how incredibly high the skill ceiling was, they started arranging practice games with other good players, known as scrims. The essence of what we consider modern competitive Fortnite was born there, with endgames of up to 50 players showcasing mechanical skills that the game developers surely never saw coming. The end of 2018 into the start of 2019 was the turning point for Fortnite. The minimum age for tournaments was lowered to 13, and we saw the rise of the mechanical teenage sensations like Mongrel, Mitro, Mr. Savage and Benji Fishy. The older content creators like Tfue, Ninja and the Team Liquid boys were still relatively successful over in North America especially, and a couple of them qualified for the World Cup, but the writing was on the wall. The newer tournaments were too serious for good content unless they were winning, and once the younger mechanical demons overtook them, they slowly left the game one by one. So did building kill Fortnite casual content? Maybe, because the skill gap got too big and the skill ceiling was too high. But if there was no building in the first place, imagine what would have happened instead. 2017 and 2018 would still have been big Fortnite hype, but without that special element in the game, the content creators would have left anyway and gone on to other games. The World Cup may never have happened, and modern comp Fortnite may not exist at all. Fortnite would have been resigned to becoming just another FPS game in 2019 if building didn't exist. Let's jump to the present day now. There is still Fortnite content being produced. There have always been big casual streamers like CypherPK, Nick30, and many huge YouTubers still producing content. But it's not like it was before. Fortnite isn't part of day-to-day school culture. Many people don't even realise the game is still a big deal for many of us. But as I said earlier, the recent zero build tournaments have produced the hype that we haven't seen since the World Cup. Ninja, Tfue, Nickmercs, they were all back playing Twitch rivals and even streaming outside the tournament too. Let's think about why they're back though. Their main aim is content. To make their content it has to be fun. To be fun it has to be less serious and ideally just have a great time with friends. They're not there simply just to compete at the highest level. Once you get solos or duos and make it competitive, it won't interest them anymore. If there's a zero build FNCS they might try, but it will never be the content that they're looking for because it's taken too seriously and they're highly unlikely to actually win. As I mentioned earlier, a couple of big content creators did make it to the World Cup in 2019, and it was good content for them because they were successful. Think about Tfue and his moments winning the qualifier, and Ninja coming agonisingly close. But it won't be like that this time. They won't be qualifying for finals with or without building. This makes it bad content for them, less fun, and they'll be gone. So if we don't think that they would be there at the top end of a zero build FNCS, what would it look like? Well, you'd have a huge shift in which players are doing well, with half the pros quitting and another chunk not being able to adapt. A big shift in which players are successful makes spectators less interested, because we don't know them at all. A slow shift is healthy for the game because it builds storylines of rises and falls over the seasons, and that is what we naturally have at the moment with slow changing metas. A no-build FNCS would be far too extreme and would be a complete flop in my opinion. Even if the content creators play once, I very much doubt they'll be back for a second season. For me, there is no way that zero builds is the future of competitive Fortnite. However, I do think that it has its own place in the game. Even the most hardcore competitive players would love to see the big streamers play tournaments every now and then, giving Fortnite hundreds of thousands of concurrent viewers. I also think that keeping zero builds as a casual game mode for everybody is a nice addition, as long as building mode pubs also exist. Pubs is the starting point for all players, including those who will go pro one day, and without building in pubs at all, you'll never have the new generation of talent coming through, and comp Fortnite will eventually die. So in summary, I never want to see the core competitive modes like Cash Cups and FNCS without building, but zero build LTMs are not an issue at all. Keep zero builds in its own casual space, and we're all happy, right? So what do you guys think about the zero builds game mode? Have you tried playing it? Did you enjoy it? And do you think there should be tournaments for it at all? Let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.